Hello, good morning, guys. Welcome to video two, where we will be going through the lesson now. Um, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to, again, first, of course, you guys are going to go to Google Class and you'll find this video in Google Class, right? After you do the first video. And then here, if you're not there already, where we're going to go is online Swift Playgrounds, and we should not have anything there. Um, if the hello world comes up, then go ahead and delete it and make sure that you guys have import foundations. Okay. Before we start the lesson on today on constants and variables, I just want to quickly review some things that I think we spoke up before going on a vacation. Remember that in order we in coding we can create variables, we can create constants. In order to see those variables and those constants printed out in our console, where people will be able to see, what the code is being printed out. The function that we use is print, right, guys? So we use print as the function, and everybody remembers print. And in order to write print, you gotta write what you want to write in print. You gotta, write the little oh man, I'm forgetting the name of it. The little question marks, the little quotation. Sorry, the quotations. And then you guys will see it there. Okay. Another thing that I want to review real quick is this symbol here. And remember that this guy means notes, and in code, notes are very important because it describes your code. It describes to the code, to another programmer, another person coming behind your code, what is it that your code does, or what is it that your code is for. So we're going to be using notes today to start this lesson. This lesson, we can please follow along, guys. So everything I'm doing, follow along and do it yourselves, because that's how you're going to retain the information and you're going to learn. If at some point, I'm going too fast or anything, that's why we have these videos. You pause the video and just continue to do what I'm doing. It's learn at your own pace. Um, so here we go. The lesson that we're going to do today is called variables and constants. Constants, right? It's been a while since we've had class, so if you guys don't remember what variables and constants are, we're going to define them. And remember that this will be in a quiz and will be in a challenge too, in the future. So the lesson we're doing is variables and constants, lesson one, example one. Write it just like this, okay, guys? And now the first thing we're going to learn is the definition of a variable. So a variable is what a variable is. The definition of a variable is holds a piece of information. So again, write this down. Now, what's unique about a variable is that a variable, what's special about it or unique is that a variable can change, right? Oops. Variables can can change. Okay. Variables can change, so remember that. And we're going to learn that constants cannot change, but we'll get to that soon. So really quick, let's just practice creating our first variable. Okay. So the way we write a variable, the it would be var, right? And let's create a variable. You guys don't have to write exactly what I write for the variable, but I'm going to create a variable for my age. You guys create a variable for your age, right? So age, you name it var. Age is what the variable is for. And again, if I know I'm creating a variable for my name, for my age, I'm sorry, would it make sense for me to name this variable, I don't know, Apple? No, right? Because if it could be called variable apple if you know the variables are 42 apples, but the variable is to identify, declare my age, right? So I would name it variable age. Now, if I run this code, obviously we're not going to see nothing here. It just says done. We didn't write done, but we can't see this variable until we use it. We call it. Remember, calling a variable. So how do we call a variable? If you know, then go ahead and get ahead of me. It's fine. Print and age. Now, if you notice here, I did not put the quotations inside the print. And the reason why is because I'm declaring or I'm sorry, not declaring, I'm calling a integer. When you call an integer, you do not have to put the quotations. If I do put the quotations, look what's going to happen. Okay. So if I do put the quotations, what's going to happen? It's going to print age. You see that? And we don't want it to print age. We want it to print the the variable age. Okay. So that's the first part of variables. Now let's create a variable. This was a string variable. Now let's create a variable using, I'm sorry, this was an integer variable. Now let's create a variable using strings. So I want to create a variable for my name. So again, var name. Now I'm creating this variable for my name, and it makes sense, right? Because I know that this variable is for a name. Now here, because it's a string, string are things that we have letters, right? Um, letters with, not numbers. Okay, we do put the quotations on there. Okay, if we run the code there, but we don't see the variable yet. Let's say I take off the this. What's going to happen? I'm going to get an error, right? Unsolved use, and it always tells you the error here. So of unsolved identifier Julio var. So they know the program knows it's a string, so it needs to have the quotes. Now let's print this variable so we can see what it looks like. And what you do is print and name. Okay, and then we run the code. And there we go. We've created our first variable, one for my age and one for my name. So you guys create one for your age, one for your name. Again, always pause the video if you're falling behind in any way. Okay. So then now, if I wanted to, for example, change this variable, you see this variable here, 42. Let's say it's a program that every year reminds me of my age. So the program variable here said, hey, you're 42 this year. And next year, you know, the program is going to remind me of my new age. So the variable every year is going to change. So the variable can change. So what would happen here is I would create we can create a age. So it's the same variable age. And down here in my program, it's going to change to 43. So now if I run it, if I run it and I'm not getting any error, and then I go print, and then I go age, am I going to get, so the variable, now the new variable age is the same as this variable, which printed out 42. But now this variable, because here later in the program it changed, let's see what happens. See now? So now it's next year and the variable is 43. Okay. Hopefully you guys are following along. Hopefully you guys understand. Now, the next thing, if my name, if I wanted to change this variable name, it can change in the program. So um, an example is, we go to websites every day, right? And we put in our information. I put Julio, you guys put in your name. So they you can create a variable that's just empty, right? And the person can put the name and change it. Um, but here, I just want to give you guys an example that we can change the variable Julio to something different, and we would do it the same way. If you guys notice, I don't have to write var. I didn't write var age here because what I'm changing is I'm changing this same variable, right? If I wanted this to be a new variable, then I would have to put var. But no, I'm changing the same variable that I started with. So here I write name, and I want to change this variable to Bob. I don't know. Okay. If I run the code, always run your code. Nothing's going to happen because I'm not using the variable yet, right? But now, if I use this variable, just like this example, if I use this variable by print and name, now later in my program, it's going to change. You see that? Now it says Bob. But it's the same variable. It's the same variable. It's this variable is this variable. Okay, guys? Now, the same thing here. If you guys notice, when I changed this variable from here, I had to add the quotes. If I don't add the quotes, what's going to happen? I'm going to get a big error. See that? So when it's a string, it needs to have the quotes. Okay. And you got to have all the little separations with code, guys. Everything has to be exactly as it should, or it'll give you an error. But the good thing is you always, the errors are bugs, right? And then it always tells you what your bug is. Okay. So that is it, guys, for variables. So variables, again, to review, variables hold information. Variables can change, as we've seen. And now we're going to move on to next part of this lesson. And what we can do here is put um, a note saying constants, and then the definition for constants. So again, constants hold a piece of information as well, a piece of information. Okay, and constants. Um, Constants, what's special about the constants, the difference from the variables and the constants, is that the constants, like we just spoke about variables that can change, cannot change. So constants cannot change. Okay, guys? So when we have a quiz, when we have a challenge, and remember that constants cannot change. Okay? Now, let's just take, so to write a constant, we know that to write a variable is like this, right? And it makes sense. Var variables. To write a constant is kind of weird because you would think to write a constant it would be like, maybe like this, const or const, and then maybe like that, but it's not. For some reason, Swift calls them let. Don't know why, but that's just what they call it. So that we're creating a variable here called age, same kind of variable as up there. I mean, not sorry, same kind of information. The data that's going into this constant is age. Now my age is 42. Now let's create another constant that would be name, and the name is Julio. Okay. And now here, what we're gonna see is that, like in the really quick, guys, what I want to do. So if I run code right now, all this code is gonna run. So right now, I only want this code to run. Only this code to run. So what do I need to do up here to this code? Don't delete it because you guys are going to have to turn it in. What are you going to do to this code? You're going to add notes, note symbol, so that it can all be not on the run of the code, and it all should turn green. So let's do that really quick. Okay, so now all this code here, we know what this is. We have an understanding of it, and now we're working down here with constants. So if I run my code, done. See that? All this code is no longer showing. So now here, the special thing here is that I'm only going to show you one thing. I mean, this pretty much is the same thing as variables, but they're constants, and the only difference is that constants can't change. So for example, if I wanted to change this constant of 42, like I gave the example up there, to age 43, and now I ran my code, this is what happens. I get the error. See that? So I'm not sure if you guys can see with me. Um, yeah, there we go. So age, here's the error. We can always look for our error. All this information that the error always gives you is just a lot of information that, is connected to this information that we need to read. So cannot assign to value, we cannot assign to value age is a let, is a constant. It's telling us you cannot assign the age 43 because constants cannot change. So here it's giving us another information about it. So can change let to var to make it mutable. What is that saying? That if you want to make the the constant changeable, change it to a var, change it to a variable to make it mutable. Mutable means to make it changeable. Okay. And now that is it. So here I'm just going to delete this. Well, not delete it, but I'm going to, yeah, delete this. And then I'm just going to give you the example that if I wanted to print this is this constant, I would put print, sorry, age. Now I print my constant and I get 42. Okay. And again, I cannot change this. So here's the challenge for the day, guys. Thank you for following along and listening. I hope what I'm doing here, you guys see this. I need everybody to turn this code in. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. But before we do that, um, block out this code. And now here's the challenge for the day. And also there'll be one or two questions under this video in today's assignments. Okay, so you guys need to go in there and answer. Let's see here. Challenge for the day is, so that's right. The challenge of the day is to create a variable variable name, a variable name for candy, your favorite candy, sorry. Variable name for your favorite candy, right? So let's say you had an app and the app asks the user, what's your favorite candy? And that's the variable you're creating. So you're creating a variable for your favorite candy. So challenge of today is to create a variable name for your favorite candy and a variable, we're just going to do the variable name for number, oops, and a variable name for number of candy you eat in a week. Okay. And now this is something that we can, this is information that could be part of an app, or could be part of something like, people have apps for keeping track of their steps, keeping track of their food. And this is just, we're creating a variable to keeping track of our favorite candy and how many we eat. So what I want you to do is, in order to create this program and call it and use it, I need you to pause the video. Do not keep going until you pause the video and create the challenge. And then if you're really having a hard time, try to Google. If you don't know what you're supposed to do, don't Google the answer, but Google what is a variable, or how to create a variable, or how to create a variable with a string and a variable with an integer. If you don't remember, right? Or rewind the video and watch it again. But don't do the challenge without first pausing the video, and then after you create your variable, then start the video and check my work and see if it matches yours. Because if you just watch it and don't challenge yourself to do it without looking, then you're not going to retain the information. You're not going to hold the information in. Okay, so pause the video and go ahead, do the challenge. Okay, now that you did the challenge, I'm going to go ahead and do it myself. So my bar candy is, oops, Snickers. Snickers. Okay. And my var um, number number eight, Eaton. I think that's how you spell Eaton. Eaton. So remember also that when you're naming variables, let me just check if I'm spelling this right. And yes, I'm spelling it right. Okay. So remember that the variable name, remember we talked about and we learned about camel head, to write variables, right? To write. So the first part is always minuscula, lowercase, and the second word is always uppercase. Now, let's say if I had another word here like number eating favorite or something, favorite, it would always start from here with a uppercase. But anyways, here we go. So you write number eaten, and I eat about 3 Snickers a week. Okay. Now let's use them. So if I run my code, obviously it's going to show nothing. So it's going to show print, and then it's going to show candy, and then run. I'm not sure why my code's not running. Oh, it's going to be way at the bottom, I think. I'm not sure why my code's not running, guys, but it should work for you guys. Let's see here. Yeah, well, this is the answer. I'm not sure why my code's not running. Sometimes because of internet issues, it gets stuck. But this is what it should look like when you guys are done with your challenge. Then print, and what would this print say? It would say number eaten. And there we go. So that's the challenge. This is what it's supposed to all look like. You guys should all have all this written. So this should look exactly the same as mine. Not exactly the same. It should have your information, whatever variable name you want to give it, whatever numbers you want to give it. Now, really quick, to turn this in, you're all going to go download and Playground Swift, and maybe create a folder. Create a folder in your desktop. So go to your desktop, create a folder, new folder, and this is going to be Swift. You can just call it Swift folder, right? And now here, I'm going to change this to variables, and constants. That is lesson one, example one. Okay, and you save it in there. And now that should be saved in your folder. Now you go back to Google Class where it says, video two, and you need to turn in this document so that I can see it, and then press done. And now if you weren't able to finish for some reason because of time, make sure you take some time to turn it in by the end of today, and then we will follow up next class with the next lesson. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, you can always write me when you're turning stuff in. You can always write questions there at the bottom as well. All right, guys, thank you. Have a good day.